Hey, Dirt Farmer Jay here from dirtfarmerjay.com. If you're considering upgrading your DW735 DeWalt planer using a Byrd Shelix head, this video is for you because I'm going to show you step by step how to install that head. Stick around. Hey, Dirt Farmer Jay here from dirtfarmerjay.com. We love our DeWalt DW735. It came with the stock 3-knife head. We upgraded it, putting in the Byrd Shelix 40 cutter helical head. It's turned out beautifully, and we reviewed that on the video that you see right here, the link above me here. You can take a look at over there and see what we did there. And you can also look right here and see the Wixie gauge that we installed with it. Check out the link above on that as well, and we'll put those links in the description below so you can take a look at that over there. We also did one another, we're just telling you the whole suite, that show you how to calibrate the turret depth stop system on this unit once you change out the head to make sure that whatever you're putting on the indicator dial is exactly what it is planing down to. So check out all those, but let's jump in. What we're gonna do is base everything we're gonna do here on the manual that comes with the Shelix head when you get it. And in that manual, done in a collaboration with Byrd Shelix and a production wood shop that they work with, they took a lot of photos and put it together. But if a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video's worth 10,000 words. So we're just going to show you step by step, very quickly at fast pace, and you can start and stop as you wish to look at the detail. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do when you get the box, everything in the box is very concise. The head is surprisingly heavy because it's heavy duty. So you're going to get the box. It's got a nice foam liner and carrier. You're going to have a film that allows you to wrap around it so you don't hurt your hands. The inserts are all there. The bearings are installed. And there's some tooling and some extra inserts. Everything's there, as you can see, as we open the box. Now, you're going to need a good set of tools to do that. It's listed in the manual, but here they are shown for your convenience of the tools you want to have on hand as you start to do your own install. The next thing that you're going to do is unplug the machine that you're going to service. Make sure that absolutely, I'm sorry to be redundant on this, you go, yeah. There's so many accidents where people think something is not plugged in, and it is. So make sure you've unplugged it, and now you're ready to go with the next step, and that is to remove the top off of the machine to gain access to the interior. So you're simply going to remove the top using the T-handle that is provided right here with the screws on the top, and you're going to get the top off. Now you can see the dust extraction system, and it's held in place with these red thumb screws. Indicates very clearly visually those three need to be removed. Once you remove it, you're going to rotate the dust cover up and over and out. And now what you see is the cutter head down below. It is exposed. So what you're going to do now is remove the blades, and you need to be very careful because sure, they're for cutting wood, but they don't care if they're cutting wood or you. So be careful, wear gloves, or just keep your fingers away from everything there. And then you're going to remove the retention screws along there, remove each of the blades, and using the blade lock system, so depressing the cutter lock, you go ahead and remove the first cutter. Be very careful handling it. It is very sharp. Place that to the side in a safe place. Advance the cutter head 1/3, again using the blade lock or the cutter head lock. Remove that and then do that again for the third time. So you're going to remove the actual lock, and there it is right there. It's a very simple device but very effective. So you're going to remove that and get it out of the operating environment in the inside of the machine. So the head will always be free turning. There's no reason ever to lock it again, because if you do need to replace any of the inserts or turn them, you can just rotate the head into the right position, use the torque wrench, and do that without having to lock the head. Your next step then is to remove the depth of cut handle right here. Go ahead and get that off using the wrench. Now go ahead and remove the pulley cover off the side of the machine here on the side where the operator, where this depth of cut handle is. Remove that off of there, and then you're going to go ahead and remove the tension arm spring as you see here. To remove the screw that's attaching that, use a torque driver. Be very careful because there is thread lock on this. Keep it deeply engaged, put even pressure until it finally breaks loose and that you can get that removed. This is an important step. More than one operator owner of these has stripped that out and had to do heroic measures to get that screw out of there. Now go ahead, you now can see the sprockets with the chain drive that will drive both of the rollers, the in-feed and out-feed rollers. You need to take the screws out of the end of those and those axles where the sprockets are, set those screws in a safe place, and now remove the chain and the sprockets all intact, set that as assembly aside. The next thing you're going to do is remove the poly drive belt. Now it's tensioned, it's really tight, so you're going to remove it by rolling it up on one edge and advancing over till it finally releases and comes off. And at that point, you're going to go ahead and remove the drive pulley. To remove that drive pulley, the first thing you're going to need to do is remove the nut off the end. Then you're going to go ahead and pull out the key, the bushing, keep that all very concise and together. Put that in your parts area right there, but keep it together as an assembly, at least so all the parts are there together. Now you're going to need that snap ring tool. You're going to reach in and remove the snap ring that is retaining the cutter head. So go ahead and move that out, set it to the side, keep it there intact with the rest of those sub-assemblies. Now you're going to move to the other side of the machine where the depth turret is, and you're going to remove the cover on that side. Here you'll encounter another snap ring that needs to be removed as well, taken out, that's retaining the cutter head from coming out this side. This will look a little bit familiar now because what you're going to do is disconnect the tension spring that's holding the assembly together there. Now after you've disconnected the tension spring, you're going to remove the sprocket and the chain. Take out the screw in the end of the sprocket and the chain, remove it as a unit, set that aside, and you now have a gearbox that simply needs to be partially disconnected after you remove the right shaft sprocket washer. Now you'll need to take the socket screws out of the gearbox to attach that. You're going to go ahead and pull the gearbox out and kind of set it aside, get it out of the way. And now the cutter head is accessible from both sides. But now you're going to take a wood block and a mallet of some kind. And the wood block can be drilled or a flat block, but you don't want to hit the end of the shaft at all directly with anything that's going to deform it, scratch it, alter it in any way whatsoever. So use a hardwood block, and you're going to start tapping it out, and you'll find that the whole head shifts and starts to move out the other side. Now you've removed the factory head, you have the whole unit out, and now it's time for the fun to begin of putting back in the new Shelix helical head. To do that, the very first thing you need to do is remove the helical drive gear off the end of the factory cutter head and have it reinstalled in the Shelix head. Now notice that there are two different kinds of cutter sizes you can get from Byrd Shelix. One is the OEM, which is exactly the same size of what came out as far as diameter. And to do that install, which we did on this one, you have to do all of these things that we're doing. There's also a smaller diameter one that stops you from having to do so much removal. We chose to keep the OEM size. We like the original diameter, and I like the mass of the head. But you have those two choices. As you can see here on the box, we went with the OEM size. Now you need to remove all of the inserts on the cutter head to allow the cutter head to fit in. There's no way to keep all those on, so you need to remove all those. You can use either, because you're removing, there's no chance of really over-torquing or damaging. You're just removing them. Either use the hand tool that's provided, the Torx driver, or put a Torx driver insert in one of your drill drivers and remove all those up, stack them someplace where they're handy. Don't let them drop on the floor. They're brittle. They'll chip if they do, but keep them in a bin or something like that. I actually put them in a magnetic mechanics dish that kept them all there ready for me to go. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of bonus content that's not inside of that, that manual, and that is, first of all, here's a way that I came with to help install the head. I was doing it solo, so I was able to install the head by creating a little bit of a sling and some assist blocks so that as I inserted it back in the side of the machine, this end was supported without it having it come down in the bay down here and be landing on the cutters. So there's a little bit of a way that you could do that. The second thing here is a pounding block I made for the head with just a drilled in hole in the end that allowed me to put it over the end of the axle, protecting it, and then I could pound it in. That needs to be a hardwood block. A softwood block probably isn't going to work. It's probably going to split. So that's some bonus as well. After using the pounding block, you can see the bearing is seated correctly where it needs to be, not too far out, and it can't be driven in too deep because there's only so much recess, but that needs to be flush, so that pounding block allows you to do that. All right, we're now back to the manual here. It's time to reverse all the steps. Now you're going to put that gearbox back, put it back in position. You're going to go ahead and install the chain and sprockets that you took off in this area, and reverse that in, install the sprocket with the screw that is provided. I like to use thread lock on all these things just because the machine's going to run, it's going to create vibration. So go ahead and reinstall that. The next thing you're going to do is install the snap ring back in using your snap ring or retainer ring pliers. Get that put back in and make sure it's seated well in the recess that it's designed to sit in. So that's done. The next thing you're going to do is put in the washer, the spline, and the pulley install over on the other side of the piece of equipment, back over here where the hand crank will be afterwards. Now you're going to move the other side of the machine back to where the drive pulley was, so you need to install the washer, the spline, the pulley, and then the nut that holds the pulley in place, securing that to the correct tightness. Now it's time to reinstall the poly drive belt, and this can be a little bit difficult. You're going to have to do a little bit of tooling to make it work, and you don't want to over wrench things or work so hard on the belt that you stretch it. It needs to stay very tight. So getting it back onto the pulleys, the first thing you're going to do is open the little access door that's there, start installing the pulley belt between the two. And what I did to get it rolled on to the new is start on one edge and just keep rolling it and pushing over a little bit. If you're going to use any kind of pry at all, make sure it's wood or nylon or something like that, to where you can just keep jumping the belt over a little bit onto the drive belt. It's grooved, both the drive and the follower pulley, the driven pulley and the drive pulley. Both are grooved, and so it'll tend to stick in the groove that you're in. So you have to keep pulling it up and ramping it over till it gets to the next one, and then just keep going until it's snapped fully in place. Do not think it's good enough until it's absolutely set in between the two raised edges of the pulley. It's got to be in that low area, otherwise you're going to give yourself problems when you operate the machine. All right, now that you've got that done, you need to put this little cover back in place right there. Get that sealed up. Now you're going to put the sprocket and chain back in place. You've kept it as a unit. Install it back. It's already registered, and there's certain detents that it can only go back on one way. Then go ahead and put the screws, the retention screws. Again, those I put on using a really newer wrench, and I use a thread lock on it just to make sure that they stay tight where I've installed them. Now you're going to install the idler arm again, put the spring on there. The spring, what it does is put tension on the chain so that it keeps in the right tension and raises it so it's not drooping and all that. So get that in place. Now the next thing is to put the drive chain cover. This entire cover here is going to go back on with the 4 screws that are there. We're almost home. Then you're going to go ahead and put the depth of cut handle back in place with the retention screw on the front. Now it's time to reinstall all of those 40 inserts you took off earlier to allow you to put the whole planer head in. So now you need to work, there's 4 rows of 10, and you just keep rotating the head to where it's going to allow you to put the driver straight down. Make sure you center the cutters as indicated in the documentation that you have with it. It's easy to get it up on one side or twisted, but you can feel them kind of sit in the right places. Torque them down, you can feel that. They're going to grab very nicely, but you have to do that 40 times. There was no way to keep those cutters in place when you installed it through the side ports of the machine. The last thing to do then is to put the cover back on, put the tool back where it belongs, power the machine up. I'd turn it on a bit and just double check in here to make sure the cutter heads are doing what they should, that you don't hear anything that it shouldn't be doing. And then at that point, start to enjoy some really increased performance and lower sound levels from your machine that's been enhanced with the helical head from Byrd Shelix. If you're interested in getting one of these, and I think you should be interested, just go to the link below. We show you the link of where you can go and get one of these. You're gonna love the results. Another upgrade for this machine that we love beyond the Shelix head is the Wixie depth gauge. Check out this episode where we show you exactly how it was installed and calibrated. This is a great enhancement. We also have the link for it in the description below where you can purchase one of those. Until the next time, this is Dirt Farmer Jay from DirtFarmerJ.com.